Hello. Welcome to Media Queen TV, our 2025 series, episode 2. And we have 2 very special guests all the way from the UK today. And these amazing people actually interviewed me on their show recently, which was really, really cool. Great episode that we had. It's called the Empowerment Extend show that they run. And today we're going to chat about identity, spirituality, and neurodiversity. Now, a little bit about our guest today. We've got Carinder Malhi with us. He's a campaign and disability advocate for the disability sector. And you can find him on LinkedIn and Matchmaker FM after this show. And we also have Sarah Bartlett. She's a disability advocate and registered learning disability nurse. And she's worked for and on behalf of people with learning disabilities and autism in the UK for over 20 years. Extraordinary. Welcome to Media Queen TV.
Oh, thank you for having us. This is wonderful.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh, it's great to have you here. And it's interesting, we were just covering your show recently and you mentioned I was on episode 69. Fancy that. I love the number 69. Such a beautifully balanced number. Now you've already got now 80 shows that you've done for the Empowerment Extend show, which is awesome because a lot of podcasts out there don't have more than 3 episodes and even less have more than 10 episodes out of the 5 million plus podcasts
really?
out there.
I didn't realise that. Yeah, no, we've kept at it, haven't we, Carinder? Yeah, we've been doing it.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, congratulations. So how did the two of you come to meet? How did you come together?
Shall I go first? Yeah.
So basically, we are on the site with the HCM and really good thing.
Yeah,
Like we are on the Learning Disability England, and like the Learning Disability England is like from the English perspective. So our wonderful manager, Sam Rock, is sort of the Learning Disability England, and after that we put our podcast, we eat every single podcast that we have did, and me and Sarah, from that day, we have started higher.
Yeah, we
Sarah interviewed me about the disability campaign, and we're both into politics, we're both into the campaigning, we're both into what we can do, but our campaign is all about the top side level.
Yeah. I couldn't put it any better myself, really. So just building on some of the things that Carinder said there, that in the UK we're part of, because we've been doing it personally. I've been doing it such a long time, such a big part of my life. And there is an organisation in England called Learning Disability England, which is sort of the beacon for people with learning disabilities and autism to be represented in that way, in terms of having their own voice, being empowered, and that is how they met. Carinder and I met because we have similar interests in politics and religion, 2 things that you usually don't talk about, but Carinder and I relish in both those subjects. So and since the pandemic onwards, we began with doing things like politics shows and cooking shows, just as a way to engage people really who perhaps were isolated in the pandemic and needed something like that. So and we've been doing shows most weeks since then.
Amazing. And are you a long way from each other in the UK?
We are really, aren't we? I'm in Manchester, and then Carinder's in Surrey. So that's that is quite a distance. So north and south, we're like sort of, I'm in the north, Carinder's in the south of England, and then so these connections, the people around us in the community, like any community, we know each other very. You get to know who's who, so to speak. So. Yeah, so it's been great. It's been really good. We're still learning, but it's about giving people the opportunity to do these things. New for me, let alone if you've got barriers. So it is good. It's good. And Carinder represents people so well. We've got into
Yeah, brilliant. Now, for those who don't understand autism, can you explain a bit about what is autism and you know, how does it work? What are the pros and cons?
Yeah. I mean, gosh, I could go on forever about what is autism. And the first thing I'll say about anybody,
whatever.
No, Carinder knows I go on forever about it. So Carinder might jump in and say, please stop talking about autism, because I did want to. Essentially, the first thing, anybody new to autism, I sort of say, first of all, no two people are ever the same, whether you're autistic or not, is the first sort of protocol. But autistic people do have differences in how they communicate, how they sense things, and often it's about how they imagine things too. And there's a lot I could go into detail about, but an autistic person to a new person coming in would see somebody that has differences in how they communicate, their preferences to environment and senses, and there's a plethora of nuances within how an autistic person will relate to another person, empathise with a person, how they will engage with anything sensory-wise, sort of the sensitivities around light or sensitivities around sort of tactile sensitivities as well. But it is a really there's a lot of sort of what we call classic autistic people. It all feels very categorizing words, which I don't like really to use, because labels are labels. But I think am I representing you well, Carinder?
Yeah. And also, like we are got some more like a power, and I just read that comment. What there was a comment that one there that like on the way here, but yeah. So like ourselves, because like I'm a campaigner, I always campaign about stuff, making it autism. And what Sarah was saying, like with the autism, like blah blah blah. I'm from the powerful politics, same as Sarah. Well, Sarah, like we know that I'm like higher, so I know more about all these things. So I went to college, I went to school and studied, and I know I'm alright, Sarah.
I think what Carinder's getting, I think what I probably missed is that there are within the autism community, there tends to be people that have particular strong knowledge about certain subjects, which is sometimes called twice exceptional. So it's quite, and there can be a bit of stereotype in there around people who are autistic being gifted or above people, or those kinds of terms. But actually, autistic people have a likelihood to have a focus on something that makes them an expert at it, or they have an exceptional way at looking at, and a different way of looking at something in detail for a prolonged time, sort of with focus. And that is some. So when it comes to Carinder, and Carinder, tell me if I'm wrong, this is just is that Carinder's focus is politics, and Carinder is insidiously insistent about politics to the extent he knows everybody connects with people, and he will, that persistence and speak positively about Carinder. He's not letting go of that interest.
No,
and that's
when I see something, I want to let go. I like
right. When you see something, you won't let go. So you've got to. So you're very very well versed with politics, and you're super interested in politics. Yeah.
Definitely when like.
And religion.
Not religion, like.
Not religion.
But I'm always for you, yeah. But
for
me, I'm into like.
I'm trying to get my own stuff in there sometimes.
Like for you, yeah, because like if I get into the politics situation, because I actually went to the parliament. I go to the parliament.
Yeah. So Carinder, we have something in the UK called PMQs, so Parliament time on a Wednesday, and Carinder goes in person to that every Wednesday. So He's there every
What's
Wednesday.
it stand for? PMQ.
So that's Prime Minister's questions.
Prime Minister's questions. Okay.
Yeah.
So is it UK politics particularly you're interested in, or is it worldwide politics?
Worldwide.
Worldwide. Okay.
Because as it is a many campaign, we cannot let anyone go. We cannot let anyone go at all.
Yeah.
So, in the mind, and Gary has told me if I'm wrong or not, we are specifically going ahead with hot and hot. So, what that means is, like, I'm also a doctor for campaign. I'm also a candidate for the disability.
Yeah.
And, like, when I see something wrong, like on the road, I straight away report it and say, look, you ain't got a pothole for wheelchair.
Yeah.
Why can't I fix it? So I straight away.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, I was just gonna say that I was just gonna add that. So it's things like wheelchair access, and so one of the things that's been that Carinder's mentioned a lot is around there's limited wheelchair access at the House of Parliament, and Carinder raises those types of issues for people to get addressed.
Oh, good, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, that's very important. Absolutely. And I know some people in wheelchairs that constantly had issues, with being catered for in different venues, and like things like getting onto planes, and it can be really, really difficult for people.
I mean, I've seen one on YouTube, like this recently. A woman was in the wheelchair in the aeroplane. She wanted to go to the toilet, but she was struggling. And I thought, that's a bit unfair because there was no one there to help her.
Right.
And she was like falling on the floor.
Oh dear.
And I just thought, no, this is not right.
Not
The
dignified.
airline should be helpful, and the airline should be there to do stuff. And when I saw that, I was in tears. That got me in shock.
Yeah.
Like, how would someone not help her? Just for, like, me in the middle and falling on the floor. And, just only because she wanted to go to the toilet and she was a disabled woman and she lives in a wheelchair, but you have like a wheelchair, because some aeroplanes, they have like a wheelchair, like when they can push you. I don't know what it's called though, but like when they can push
airport
you.
support, isn't it? It's a problem. Yeah.
Airport support. But some of them, this woman never knew they asked for help, but they never did it.
They ask for help, but they don't get it. Yeah. Well, it's a big issue, isn't it, in the disability sector? And, even like the aged care sector as well. Like, my mum's been in hospital for 7 weeks, and, it's been mostly very substandard care. And in fact, the aged care providers also, they are inundated. Apparently there's just, the services they're at capacity. There's long waiting lists for things to get done. In general, in Australia, hey, we pay people not to work here in Australia. We have something called Centrelink or Services Australia, which pays people who are unemployed. And, some people just stay unemployed because, they're quite happy getting the wage from the government without doing any work. So
it's just like focusing the brain. That's educated. Some people, right, are not educated in the brain, right? Focusing like brain. Obviously, right, it's like functioning from this brain here. That's what we have a brain for.
That's right.
Yeah, I think this is something that Carinder talks to me about a lot, and which I'm sure he doesn't. We won't mind me sharing. Is that it is that frustration with surely people who are planning any kind of service at all of any kind of description, disability access, accessibility. Considering people who use wheelchairs, isn't that just standard now? And we often say that. Why is that? It's 2025. Is this something we have to keep on complaining about? Yes, sadly, it is. So,
Yes.
Yeah, and I just saw it in the chat, right? Someone said in the chat, like, hi, Freeman, you are whoever I am in support you are educating fans. Oh, so we are a fan here.
Here's Crimson Blaze from Twitch says, hello, streamer. Your streams are exceptional. I'm all in support, dedicated fan. Can't wait for more great content. Thank you so much, Crimson Blaze. We've got Extinction Howard on Twitch going, hey, all. We've got Vignesh V's wondering, where is StreamYard? Well, we're streaming on StreamYard right now, Vignesh, and they are an American company, I believe, so it's a streaming company. We've also got hello to our Instagram people right now. We've got Priya Subawal, Keen Buckley, Will the Wizard, Lynn Shapiro, good to see you. Also on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you're joining us from, welcome. We do like this show to be interactive, so if you do have any questions or comments at all about our topic today, then please pop in the comments. We do like to keep it interactive. And we are talking today about a very interesting topic about identity, spirituality, and neurodiversity. So let's dig a bit deeper into this. What does this actually mean? Let's firstly look at identity. Okay, let's pull apart identity. What does identity mean to you? Let's start with Sarah here.
So identity means like when we got our identity, like identity card or identify yourself. Because
identify yourself.
Many people need like knowing who you really are.
That's so true, Carinder. Yeah.
Because there's some false fake people pretending to be you, and like identity is like identify who you are.
Yeah. The fact, in fact, the dictionary, Oxford Dictionary says it's the fact of being who or what a person or thing is. What is your identity, and who do you identify with? Like, it's interesting. Like, are you male or female? I mean, we've had all this sort of, confusion around, are people, it's interesting when Trump came in, he said, look, there's male and female, and that's it, right? One of the first things he brought in.
It's a good thing to go into, talk about.
Like from the sexual contention.
Yes.
But the way he said it felt like, okay, why can't you marry you? He said, like, I don't know, you let me roll Sarah. When I saw on the news, he said, like, male and male should not be married, and women and women should not be married.
So it's really, so I would say, in terms of that, is not reflective of a contemporary way to see ourselves, is how I would perceive that. He's not. For me, it's going back in time. In terms of how a contemporary global community wants to talk about identity. Bringing in Carinder's interest in politics there to sort of link it. But I would say that if Carinder's okay with me sort of talking about identity in a neurodiverse context, if I can, just for a couple of minutes, is that I think for people who are neurodivergent, going back to sort of that no two people are the same, so I'm talking broadly, but a lot of people who are neurodiverse, or anybody who has to engage in constructs or with people and systems that aren't like them, their identity then becomes who they who the work. I mean, we all do it to an extent. That persona element of identity and neurodiversity is different to those who aren't, who are neurotypical, as we say. So it'd be those who, so identity in the context of being neurodivergent is that you have to put that persona, that identity on to engage successfully with your peers, with your environment, with those around you. Very similar to I think anybody who has to engage with the majority when they feel or are the minority. How you do that is about you don't focus on your own personal self on an unconscious level. Really, you focus on how do I successfully navigate the community I'm in, if that makes sense. And I think that's kind of what I wanted. I don't know if that's a little bit deep in some ways, but I think from a neurodivergence perspective, or from neurodiversity, identity in that context does alter to how we are authentically, to who we are outward focus, outward facing, which I guess we all have to juggle that. But there are definite differences, or there's more requirement for people who are neurodiverse to have their identity presented in a way to facilitate and navigate the environments they're in, which are different to them. It's not as natural, I guess. If that makes, I don't know whether that kind of makes sense.
Well, I'm always interested in the meaning of the word. And so if we go to neurodivergent here online, it says neurodivergent describes people whose brain differences affect how their brain works. That means they have different strengths and challenges from people whose brains don't have those differences. So they also have their superpowers, right? They might come across a bit different to many people out there, but it's just about understanding the different strengths and I guess weaknesses that we all have in different ways, and finding that common ground to be able to relate to another human being, whether they're considered neurodivergent or not neurodivergent.
Putting people at ease. Just, I think, and I think there's a call for how I sometimes think the criticisms within the there's that sense we all want to say we're all neurodiverse, we're all there's all that, or whoever, we're all this, but there are differences, the nuances and differences within humanity, and I think it's about and the social constructs that we have don't always place certain people and minorities in the best position to excel or to actualize or to thrive. It tends to be the majority of people. So like we were talking before, Carinder was talking about people who use wheelchairs, and that they're that airplane was not designed with the primary focus, with the minority in mind in that instance, because we've got this situation that, where we've got somebody who's potentially not having a dignified experience on a flight. So I think, I don't know whether you get the tangent, but I think what I'm trying to say is that in order to make everybody comfortable and at ease, we've got to see it from a wider lens. And I think if we just focus on who the majority, what the majority need and want, in the peripherals there are people that don't thrive, that don't get the opportunities that they would otherwise have, and those on the peripherals look in and see that, and they think, how do I engage, how do I thrive? And then they their identity then shifts away from their authentic self, and they become what the majority needs them to be to navigate successfully, which is fact of life in many ways. If that I feel like I'm waffling a bit, but you get, I think it's kind of I think it's about, I think what I'm trying to say truthfully is that I think if we're looking to be inclusive, and again back to Donald, Donald Trump's strong line of moving away from that, and in the UK in particular, we took the sentiment that we're not to be woke, that woke, there's almost like an anti right populism that's gone around, which has been really effective. People don't really want to they want to be safe in their own bubbles and want people to put up and shut up. That's how I feel about it, but that's because I've worked with people with learning disability and autism for my entire life, so I very much see it from that point, and I can say that it is about making reasonable adjustments and being an inclusive there are ways to adapt that don't need to infringe on anybody. In fact, it just brings everybody comes with us. And I at heart, I can't really envisage why people would want to leave anyone behind, with intention. So that's, So I'm not, I mean, Donald Trump's talking about being anti-diversity and anti-inclusive is very, for me, from my camp, is very difficult. It's almost, impossible to hear. Sorry, I'm sure we'll be back. But yeah.
Internet must have cut out for a minute. I'm sure you'll be back with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating because, everyone's unique in their own way. Like, we're all 1 in a billion by birth, right? We beat 1 billion swimmers to get to the finish line. We're all unique. We're all a little bit different, right? We're all a little bit different. We're similar, but we're different, right? We're made up of the same stuff. We're all 99.9% energy, frequency, vibration, and we show up in different forms. Our human form is just a temporary thing. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. And I do often reflect on how fast life goes and how often people can be judgmental of others, and also can be really hard on themselves. And there's been a lot of trauma in the world lately. It's been a really rocky period, since the pandemic. Really, the last 4 years particularly have been really challenging for a lot of people. And, with all the wars around the world and the uncertainty in politics and, what's going on in Gaza with, and in Ukraine and, like all of this, there's a lot of uncertainty, and there's, rumors of even a World War III around the corner. And you kind of think, well, like there's certain things in life we cannot control. There's some things in life we just cannot control, and we have to learn to let go of some of those things. And I think also find it in our hearts to be open to learning about people, no matter how they come across, because everyone has their own challenges that they're dealing with, and everyone has their superpowers and their things that they're really good at, and everyone has things that they're not so good at. And and it's about learning acceptance and understanding, I think, is really important.
No, I totally agree with everything you're saying. I mean, I think sometimes there's so much that can be misinterpreted when people sort of step out and talk about themselves and that they're neurodiverse, that they've got superpowers, or that they've got certain gifts or abilities. It can be quite divisive in itself, talking in that way, and often something that there is a slight communication difference between those who are neurodiverse and those who aren't, which can be misinterpreted and misconstrued a lot, particularly sort of, I guess, when a lot of us are communicating in the written word regularly, through social media platforms, things get lost in tone of voice, interpretation. Lots of words can have more than one meaning. And that's before we even get into sort of the different cultural or different languages that we've got across the world. So I think, and like you say, there's been a lot happen to a lot of us, hasn't there? There's trauma. There are so many. We talk about trauma more. I find people do talk about mental health more, which is fantastic. Or maybe that's just what I see because I'm in that space a lot. But that's how I think what I do see is that people do talk about mental health and trauma and the impact. And I think compassion, empathy, kindness, these things that are maybe potentially minimized in some before because they're not seen as particularly strong, being sensitive and being or that you can be, or that can be overbearing, or it can be too much. I think there's something to be said for boundaries and something to be said for people just finding comfort zones within those kinds of of ways to be empathetic and compassionate. But I think there's one of the things I always think about my own country, the UK, is that we've got a reputation for tolerance and politeness and patience, as our fundamental characteristics as a collective. And I think that's something I think the world needs to look at how we operate in terms of tolerance, patience, and politeness, and what that really means, and what that translates as in how how we are as a country. I mean, I say that probably with quite a bit of idealism there, because like, you know, we have had our own troubles, you know, with riots and quite, you know, far right wing movements, unfortunately. So it's not, you know, it's not coming from a camp of saying that, you know, we're perfect by any means at all. But I do think that tolerance, patience, and just I think it's just about every human being. You don't need to like everybody, you don't need to relate to them, but I think just appreciation that they're the fellow human being, and that they could somebody's son, somebody's daughter, somebody's mum, somebody's dad. You know, just have a little bit of that. If everybody had just a little bit of that, I think it encourage something that we need, because the world isn't getting any easier at all.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, hurt people, and healed people heal people. This is where it's so important to do the inner work, to find compassion and find that self-love. And I think the more self-love and kindness you have for yourself, the more you're going to have it for others. And realizing that just because someone's being nasty to you doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It just means they're just being nasty. And, you know, I just send them love. They're probably hurting about something. They're probably having some kind of challenge. And, you know, it doesn't justify anyone being nasty to anyone. However, the fact is it does happen, and no doubt it will continue to happen. However, you know, you want to minimize your contact with these kinds of people and not take it personally. I think that's a big thing. We've seen a lot of bullying over the years in the school ground. We've seen bullying, cyberbullying that happens. So much bullying. And Carinder, I know Carinder, we can see you there, Carinder. He says he's been blocked. We know Carinder's had some issues in the past with StreamYard. That's why he uses Riverside nowadays for his shows. For your shows, you use Riverside. So good to see you there, Carinder. We'll share some of your comments in the chat here. Stay with us. And he says, and also how the power is, he says here, and knowing the identity with the brain and heart. Oh, yes, that's very interesting. And also disability like ADHD. Well, I was diagnosed ADHD.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we said that
years ago, and a lot of entrepreneurs are. And, you know, they're people that are changing the world in many ways. So there's definitely superpowers with all of this. And it's just a label at the end of the day. So, you know.
Yeah, I think it's like you want. I mean, I found. I don't know about yourself, but I mean, I could sit here and tell you all the wonderful things about myself. And I mean, I love. I'm creative and empathetic, and I'm very heart-led. But I often feel, and maybe I don't know whether other people need to hear this. Is that I feel not a need to minimise or reduce, but I've all of a sudden become very, very aware that I could be targeted by hate, or I could be, you know, seen in a light that could attract bother. And there's always that sort of, you know, shine regardless and don't take things personally. And the world is tougher, and the more you're out there doing things, the more you're going to get. Full stop, good, bad, and everything else. But I've never. And maybe I'll work. Maybe this is just my part where I'm at personally in my journey. Is just that sense of there's a vulnerability that I never felt before, because the world just feels like it's not in my corner as much as it was, say a decade ago, in terms of sort of those values and the way things have been, which I'm in person. I put a lot to bringing Carinder back in, because I know it was politics, so you know, so much that bringing things, whether we've got sort of a left wing, you know, way of being governed, or a right wing way of being governed. And I always feel quite relieved when we have a left wing persuaded government, personally, because I just think at the heart of anything that sits in the left is the lines with more likely to align with social justice, which often facilitates kinder, more empathetic ways to govern anything, is what I believe. But I don't know whether that's I had a late diagnosis of ADHD, so it's getting used to that sort of context that people might see me in, which I never have had to handle before. If that makes, I don't know whether you relate to that, but it's just I never had to handle before. It didn't even enter my head, you know, that I would have it, you know, that I had a disability, or people might see. I mean, I kind of don't see myself to have a disability. I don't know. Again, I guess this is back to like identity, isn't it? How do I see myself versus how am I perceived? And it's never felt more. I don't know. Never felt more like I need to really sort of think about that. and if there's other people watching, that might be something in terms of identity. We've said let go, haven't we, a few times? You know, let it go, be yourself regardless, and get on with life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where the self-love comes in. You know, you're perfect just as you are. You are perfect just as you are. You know, how often do we try to change ourselves, or we think, you know, when we become like this, then we'll be happy, or whatever it is. You know, be happy in the moment now, wherever you're at. You're a remarkable human being. You know, and you know, all these things are labels, right? They're all labels. We all have our quirks and our differences, and we all have our superpowers, and we all have things that we're not so talented in, etc. You know, but we all make up the beautiful fabric of life, right? We all make up, you know, we're all sharing this time on the planet together, which is such a gift. You know, to be at this time, like really, when you think of all eternity, say all eternity is here, and our life is like that. It's like over in a split second, you know. And I'm seeing this now with my mum in hospital. She's almost 81 and she's got dementia, and it's really challenging, you know, really challenging. You know, she had a fall 7 weeks ago, and she was walking fine before the fall. Now she's got a broken arm. She can't walk. She can't feed herself. It's just absolutely horrible. And I think, gosh, it was only 2 months ago we were doing a half-hour walk together, and there was nothing wrong at all.
Yeah.
I mean, dementia,
just can be happening overnight. Yeah, I know.
Dementia is steadily getting worse, but it's sort of like it's taken a big downhill turn, and it's really challenging when you see people you love that, and these things we have no control over, right? But what I do is I go to hospital every day, or as much as I can, and nearly every day, and I go and feed her dinner, and I just be present with her, and I appreciate her as she is, because these things we cannot change, right? So,
yeah. So I always thought of I think having an ability to sort of ride with life and the flow and be accepting of every situation, of every season, sort of thing, of every circumstance is it's a real gift to be able to do that. It's accepting things as they are in the now, and it's not easy. It's not easy. And I think in particular, well, actually, I don't know. I was about to say something that's quite dogmatic in nature about autistic people being rigid, but I don't actually think that's always the case. To be honest with you, that's quite a stereotype in a lot of senses.
yes.
I think it's like with anything, when life takes its turns to something that's not as we hoped or as we want, or, you know, a difficult time, it falls back to who you've got around you to support you, I think. And if you've got good foundations of support, then you're more likely to be able to navigate anything. And I think some of the work that I've done recently, maybe since the pandemic, is that people haven't had the right foundations from the off, you know, and I think we know that you can see where people haven't had the privileges that others might have to have that resilience, you know, to handle life storms. And I think that where we know we have people around us, or even in a professional context, that we know they haven't had the right ground, you know, the right foundations, we just have to look out for those other people a bit more in advance, sort of, I like, you know, anticipate that, you know, that they might, you know, of what could happen, because we, you know, there's a lot of knowledge around, you know, those that are nurtured and those that don't necessarily have everything that they need. It's not it's like a fine. I think sometimes there's a fine line between when do people take personal responsibility for what's happened to them and where do they sort of. But overall, I think it's about being reasonable about understanding what good nurture and what good grounding and foundations in life can give you, and if you haven't had it, what are the risks around that? It's something that, you know.
Yeah, I love that. And I think this topic, you know, identity and spirituality, I think they're very closely interlinked there, because spirituality, I think, is crucial. I think having faith, whatever it is that you believe in, I'm not talking about religion, I'm talking about spirituality. And we actually did, you know, a whole episode on this on Total True Show recently, where we talked about spirituality and religion and the differences between the two. It was very interesting. But what is spirituality? What is faith to you? And one thing I love is actually the serenity prayer. And I'm actually going to read this to you because I think this is absolute gold, this serenity prayer. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, if you continually bang your head against the wall thinking, I really want things to be different, and they're not, then maybe there's a reason for that. They say everything happens for you, not to you, right? Everything happens for you, not to you. And be committed, not attached. Be committed to what you want, and not attached to how that's going to look. I think that is really, really crucial, because the more we get fixated on how things should be, the more get thrown off course when unexpected things happen in life. And doing the inner work is so, so important. I've invested over $1 million in my business and personal development. I continue to invest. I continue to learn and grow. I continue to turn myself inside out and upside down to be the best version of myself that I can be. And I can tell you, I'm constantly hit with challenges all the time, right? There's constantly curveballs happening in my life. However, I'm able to deal with it much more powerfully. The more resilience I have, the more kindness I have for myself, the more self-love I have, regardless of how I look right now, or regardless of how my business is right now, or regardless of whether I'm in a relationship or not right now, or regardless of all the things that society says we need to be happy, right? Be happy regardless, right? Be happy that you're alive. Be happy that you're here now on the planet at this very exciting time in life. I mean, it's an absolute gift that we're here, and the people that we bump into on this journey of our 80, 100, 120 years, however long we're on the planet, right? The people that we bump into in this time is extraordinary when you think there's 9 billion people on the planet, and maybe we'll meet 10,000 in our whole life, maybe, right? If that.
I always think about the ripple effects, just the ripple effects of who you bump into. I've been very transient in my life. I've lived in about every town and city across the UK I've lived in, with always with sort of that my work's been quite a big focus, in terms of, as a mission, let people, ensuring people with learning disabilities, autism, have the right kind of care, have the right voice, rights, and just a scene, really. I think ultimately, when I sort of boil it down to what it's been about, and I reflect on how much that just one person can do, in terms of what the ripple effect of kindness, and what that can mean, and what that can, and how everybody can do. Everybody has got life, haven't they, to do something, that is meaningful, spiritual or otherwise. But I do think that is quite. I mean, my mission's always felt quite spiritual. My work's always had that sense of not being concerned about power, position, so much. More about always bringing it to something very humanistic, very, very, about something quite. I didn't even sort of correlate it being as spiritual as it is, but I definitely think that we are here to do. I personally think that I'm here to do something that's important, but not, it's like I don't want to be. It's not an egotistical thing, It is just about. It's about being authentic about what you're alive to do. What am I conscious to do? That purpose, that meaning, and having, and it's more of a feeling than an explanation, of just understanding that it is about bringing something that should be seen visible, and being part of raising a collective vibration that's very needed for the times, is how I sort of interpret a lot of what I do on a spiritual level. That it isn't so much about. I'm quite resistant to sort of the materialistic or materialism in some ways. There's definitely a part of me that doesn't want to engage in that in terms of what I do for my work. But bringing it back to sort of where it sits within, sort of, for people who are neurodivergent. I think that it's probably the opportunities are needed like this to talk and to offer that alternative perspective, just to to diversify how people are thinking and feeling in a different way, in a different. It might be that people had never engaged with people who are neurodiverse before, speaking to them on any level. So these kinds of platforms do offer that, to diversify on any level, really. But yeah, I'm kind of waffling a bit, but yeah, yeah.
I get what you're saying. What people don't understand, they tend to either knock or they run away from, or they just don't want anything to do with it if they don't fully understand it. And this is where, like for example, growing up in Sydney myself as a first generation Australian, now I have Greek, Turkish, Ukrainian background, and I was bullied a lot as a kid because, at the time there weren't many people who had European background. And I mean, now you go to the Northern Beaches area of Sydney and now it's full of Asians and Indians and just about every race you can imagine. But back then in the 70s and 80s, it was a very strong sort of Anglo-Saxon kind of area. And even though I look Anglo-Saxon, I guess, I mean, I've got fair skin, etc., but my name was different. The food I took to school was different, and so the kids would knock me. So I copped all sorts of bullying back then. Just with that little difference. But if the people actually learn to understand people from different cultures and they get to know them, that barrier then goes down. So it's the same with the neurodivergent people out there. As you start to get to know them and you make the time to really understand them and to get into their world, the more you will have that compassion, I believe. The more you'll be able to relate. You'll have that relatability.
Yeah, and I think I don't know whether I'm being naive in that, but I think most people, once they do, engage with people in a relatable way, it does alter how it does. It's very powerful, and I think that I think for different reasons, a lot of people it's just something you said before about connecting but not attaching, to
Committed.
Yeah. I think that's really important thing to say because it also brings us all into the now. But if you are I mean, I say this with not, I'm sort of accusing people of being judgmental, but I mean it's potentially projected a little bit. But I think it's if you have set beliefs and ways to see the world, allowing alternatives to come in is it's vital, isn't it? I think to do that. That's the first hurdle. You've got to be once you can sort of let your guard down and allow alternative ways to be. I think one of the things I think people experience a lot when there's a lot of people around a table who are all different is this frustration in communication. And in my work as a learning disability nurse, one of the first things you kind of learn is about frustration with communication, because it's and then as soon as you see that's what you've kind of got on your hands, then you work around understanding a person and engaging and looking at communication in that context, that it's frustrating. So I think it's all, I think it's easier, isn't it, to speak with people who are like you than it is it does take more effort, more time, and it can be very frustrating for everybody and uncomfortable, which is a barrier in itself, that and the misinterpretation. And then if you think emotionally we can all be different too, so something that can rub a person up the wrong way could then become the barrier to how they then can engage with a person with a difference or with a disability. It really the crux does come down to not to take things personally and to stand back and see what's going on a little bit more. With diversifying generally.
Yeah, I agree, because not everyone are your people, right? We're not going to resonate with everyone out there, and that's okay, right? And I actually just did a quick bit of research in the background because I was really curious, how many people do we meet in our lifetime on average? Now, did you know a third of people actually die by 65 and 90% of people die with Okay, so these stats I'm about to share, this is if you live to about 73 years of age, okay, you will get to know about 80,000 people based on if you meet about 3 people a day, okay? So it's about 80,000 people, which is only about 0.001% of the world's population that you'll actually meet in your lifetime. Isn't that extraordinary? 80,000 people roughly if you live to 73 years of age. So say it's 100,000 people if you live to 100, might be 100,000 people that you meet, but that's really not a lot when you think of the overall things. And I think, why is it that we come across certain people in our life? And, you know, some people say, well, we attract everything into our life and everyone into our life, whether we're conscious of it or whether we're not conscious of it. We are like a magnet, and we attract wherever we're vibrating at in life, or whatever conscious level we're at. You know, we will attract to the level that we're vibrating at. Scientifically, and I know that sounds a bit woo-woo probably for some of you.
But I totally get it. Yeah, no, I'm woo-woo. So I know you do. I totally, I really have that. You know, just to share, I've really found that and I can look back across my life and see where there's certain people that have arrived, or I've been, you know, and then also likewise people have fallen off when I've changed as well, and moved into different parts of either exploring sort of you know, that inner work you were talking about earlier, you know, and I think there are times when we can explore darker places, and then there's times when that vibe and we somehow people do arrive in our lives quite I found this anyway, quite surreal actually, who has arrived in my life at times, and it's wise to listen. You know, it's wise to take note of what that is, who's there and what you do. I often find that, I don't know about yourself, I find that I can it's almost like I arrive for people to either heal or save or be there, and likewise I have others that do this, you know, the similar kind of person that I definitely do keep bumping into, and I found that because I've lived in so many different places, wherever I go, I can tell you that it's the same. The people that are around me are more or less the same types of people that were in my life, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Every time I move around and meet new people, so I think there is this. It's a pattern that I've noticed, that there is something in who is around us, and this, you know, past lives and things like that. I've done I've done some, you know, exploration into that, and that whether it's tapping into the unconscious mind or whether it's true or what, there is something. There's something in that, you know, who we are from an organic place as to who you know, who you're around. And I don't know about you, but if I'm not resonating with someone, my body will tell me, my mind, something will tell me that this isn't right. And then the wisdom sort of taught me to hold that a little bit, that uncomfortableness, and just see what that is a little bit more. Whereas I think a few years ago, if the vibe was bad, so to speak, that'd be it. I wouldn't engage. Whereas now I have a little bit more, what is that? You know, what is that vibe? And not sort of trying to work, you know, if I need to work with it, I'll work with it. If I mean, obviously don't, but I don't know. I don't know. Is that something that you experience?
Yeah, I definitely feel more drawn to certain people than other people. It doesn't mean that the other people are any better or worse than we are. It just means we're at different frequencies and vibrations, and maybe you know, we're vibrating different frequencies. If you look at Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness, when we get in different emotions, we vibrate at different frequencies. Now, some people love to live below the line, as they say. They love to live in drama. They love to blame everyone else for all their issues. They love to sort of be depressed. And look, I've been there. I've had my depressed moments, right? However, now I choose most of the time to be above the line, to take responsibility for everything in my life, to you know, to live an empowered life as much as possible. And so there's certain people that love to be the victim and love to live in drama, and they're the kind of people that I don't particularly want to hang out with.
Sure.
Now, with those people now, I've attracted a lot of those into my life, I must say, and often those people are hurting people. And, because I don't want to hang out with them, I generally bless and release, right? I bless and release, and I send them love, and I send them off for other opportunities, and I choose not to put my time into hanging out with those people, because they will tend, if you hang out with a lot of negative people, your energy is going to drop naturally when you hang out with really negative people. If you hang out with people who are positive, who are uplifting, who are having a great life, etc., then you naturally will feel better hanging out with that kind of, in that environment. And I think that environment is so important, and what we choose to take on board from our environment. Now, sometimes these negative people can be family members, right? Now, you might love your family members. However, it doesn't mean you have to hang out with them all the time, right? Again, it's about making empowered choices for yourself as to how you want to live your life and who you want to live your life with, and learning to toughen yourself to criticism. I think this is particularly important for neurodiverse people, because no doubt they would get a lot of criticism from others who don't understand them, who don't get them, and I must say at times it is hard to understand sometimes what neurodivergent people can be saying or what they're thinking, etc. However, we do know that they all have emotions just like us, and they feel, sad and happy at times, and they're doing their best. Everyone's doing their best, I believe, right, with what they have, with what we've been given. I think we're all doing the best we can. It's just a matter of getting conscious to where we might be unconscious about how we're doing life and how we choose to do life. How do you want to live your life? A lot of people say, I just want to be happy. Well, what is it that makes you happy? Do more of that.
Do it. Yeah, I think you can't. You've got to. You do have to be proactive. I do believe in things like you can manifestation and positive mindset and things you've sort of said there. I really personally resonate with. But you do still have to do. You have to get out there. I think I really believe that it isn't just a case of you attracting and everything gets done for you. You do have to put. It's still work, isn't it? Whatever you kind of, you got to choose, but we do choose, don't we? We do choose what to engage with, and it's like you're saying about family members or commitments. It's sort of like with my work. Sometimes it can be quite wearing, in certain spaces. And if this was just a case of right, the vibe's bad, I'm off, and then sometimes I do have to touch base with my values and why do I keep on turning up, and why do I keep at things, and why sometimes I might feel drained, or sometimes I might feel, but I know that underneath it the motivation's there because it's something that it's a commitment, it's a responsibility. So I keep, and I think it's about where those lines are, aren't they? The lines of responsibility, accountability, and where you can actually go, I'm choosing to engage with something that isn't doing anything other than hurting me. And then, and then that, I think that's, those are the points of sort of, you have to sort of cut up and draw the line. Is how I anyway.
And that commitment is really important. And look, we all get negative at times, right? However, there's a difference with living like 99% of your life negative and in drama, and maybe 5% of your life. Like, we all have our low times, and I think in those low times it's great to have great people around us who we can bounce off, or who we can share whatever our challenges are. And there will be challenges. I had a whole lot of challenges as came on today, unexpected things just before the show. I had a few messages that came through that were unexpected, and I thought, okay, I'm just not going to deal with that right now. I'm going to focus, be fully present here at this moment. Then later I'll be fully present with those messages. But if I was to sit here and worry about those messages, then when people send you messages, it's their to-do list. It's not your to-do list, right? So this is where really learning to manage your time effectively, because I think also with the boom of social media and AI, more and more people are becoming like ADHD, or having ADHD type symptoms, with just like the go of everything that's happening, the full-on information overload that we often get. So it's like, if you're not ADHD, you soon will be if you just hang out on social media enough, because of all the information.
I think it is a case of like, you said that, you know, that people have got access to people 24/7, you know. So if you have got a really sort of like, if you've always sort of attracted people in because you give and you're caring and you've got, you know, just this great energy, then it's all well and good, but you've got to, you know, that people can get hold of us. They've got access to us all of the time. And I've learned that there are times when I do think, oh, I can feel it coming. I'm like, oh, that's it. No, I'm done. You know, and I'll need total digital, you know, I'll move away from anything digital. I'll move, you know, and just completely want to be alone, sort of thing, and just like and just be in my own energy and space. Because I think you know, sort of bringing it back to the topic, I am quite extroverted, really, but I do really resonate as you know, with being quite introspective as well, and in sort of that, and I think some of that introspection and introversion that's crept up on me, maybe it's because of that that sense of 24 access to my energy, and it's just a way that I've adapted in my times and environment to heal myself and to give myself my own space and privacy. I don't really relate to that.
I think you have to now, because it is like, just because you've got Messenger and WhatsApp and, you know, people are bombarding you all the time. And if you don't actually make time for yourself, you go bloody stir crazy worrying about everyone's messages. And so, you know, I just think they can just wait. You know, they can wait. Nothing's that urgent that I need to get back to them straight away. Generally, okay, occasionally there might be a really urgent thing I need to get back to straight away, but most of the time when someone messages you, it's their to-do list. That's a big thing to remember.
Yeah, it's a really good tip. It is a really good tip, because I think you know, I'm sort of from a nurse background. There is that sense of that, you know, you want to. It's not even like a people please thing, but it's like it is that service. You know, we were talking about at the beginning, that sense of giving service. And I think those of us that are more inclined in that mindset to give service, we want to, you know, it's not sort of it is actually the path of least resistance. It's the natural flow to be giving, to give service. But there is that you've got, you know, it is about I think I need to probably reflect on whose to-do list am I doing today. I doubt I've done my own for a very long time, but it almost becomes a I don't know, like that brings something in as well. You know, if you are continually sort of that mindset of it's a bit sort of like the favour bank, I used to call it, or it's a sense of, if you're always giving abundantly yourself, then there is something in that you know, if you're in that giving space, it has helped me over the years to keep that sort of more positive, higher vibration personally. It's only when I have to sort of put my boundaries in, or people sort of impose a way that, you know, well, you need to put more boundaries in, you need to do more for yourself, you know, you need to do more self-care, you need to do this, you need to, and it's kind of when I start to do that, my energy actually sort of, I don't know, I'm just sort of saying it's like a relatable thing that I don't know, that I think my natural least resistance is to be of service to others.
Fantastic to be of service. You know, there's no greater purpose than to be of service. But, you know, I must say, after 40 years in the media, I burned out. I was such a people pleaser, and I was working such ridiculous hours as a journalist that I literally burnt out. And if I didn't make the time for myself, I would not be the person I am today. And so nowadays I make time for self-care. Today I went into the ocean. Today I actually played some table tennis with my dad. I went and saw my mum in hospital, you know, and I got work done in around that. You know, these are all really important things to me, to make the time for exercise and for self-love and self-care. I meditated today, you know, and I don't feel guilty about it, because that's me filling my own cup up. And when I fill my own cup up, I can show up more as well. And we are in a time where people expect instant, you know, instant responses to things, right? We've got, with all the robots and everything instantly responding, you know, people expect instant responses nowadays.
They do.
You know, if someone really wants to work with you, or they really have some question for you about something, then they'll wait. They'll be patient. They'll wait. They'll understand that you'll get back to them when you can get back to them. You know, like we have to honor ourselves, and you have to toughen yourself to criticism because it's going to come. And if you get on board, you're going to end up an emotional wreck. So just criticism comes, you just send them love, it bounces off, deal with things in a kind and polite manner. You can be direct and you can be polite without being nasty. Okay, so let's all exercise a little bit more kindness in 2025. That would be really nice. More kindness to self and more kindness to others, whether the others are considered neurodivergent or not, right? This is a being thing here. This is about your identity, your ID, your how you show up in the world is how you see yourself, your identity, and your spirituality is going to strengthen you, help strengthen you to the criticism by having faith, right? And by your intuition and having that sixth sense, and you know, realizing that you are a miracle of life by birth and you deserve to be here. You do belong. You are loved, right? You are loved and you are good enough. Okay, now they're the three biggest fears that people often have, that they're not loved, they don't belong, and they're not good enough. Well, I'm telling you, you definitely are.
All three, definitely. I'll say that too. It's so true, isn't it? The second each of us opens our eyes with one in terms of being here, being alive, being conscious, being valuable, belonging, every single person. I really, really believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I want to thank, we've got some more people have hopped on Instagram here. Good to see you there. We've got Carol Darcy Art has joined us. Empowerment Extend. Good to see you. Carinder there on Instagram has joined us as well. Good to see you there. Ageless Body Formula, beautiful Linda Morrison. Good to see you there from Melbourne. We've got Wolf1111 has joined us. We've got The Mind Paradigm with Alex. Hello there. Cancat Actamir01 has joined us on Instagram. We have Ros Boundy on LinkedIn. Hello. She says, hello, Ros. Good to see you there. And I know Carinder's made a comment here. Let's come to Carinder's comment here. Spiritual values in the workplace, increasingly discussed and applied in the business ethics literature, can be viewed from an individual, organizational, or interactive perspective. The following study examined previously unexplored workplace spirituality outcomes. Using data collected from 5 samples consisting of full-time workers taking graduate coursework, results indicated that perceptions of organizational level spirituality appear to matter most to, and then the next bit is cut off. So I'm not sure what the next is, but if you put it there, pop it in there and we'll read the rest of that bit. That's from Carinder. Thank you so much. Carinder, who unfortunately has been blocked off StreamYard for some reason. Not sure why. Do you know why he was blocked? What's going on there?
He had unfortunately, Carinder was having some problems with some hackers and trolls, as I saw it. And I think they were targeting him, unfortunately. So I think. I mean, I don't know quite the detail, but I think StreamYard made the decision to stop because it was So it's that some of those things we said before about you know, bullying and things along those lines. So yeah, it's
not good to hear. Sorry to hear.
Yeah.
I'm glad we had him on at the beginning, so that's great. We've got Arslan Arsal here. Hello, it says great. Hello, Arslan, and we have Arslan. Maybe it's Arslan. Extend Empowered. We've got Carinder again saying identity politics has been popularly criticised both from the political right as a kind of special pleading and from the political left as a diversion from the imperatives of the class struggle. But even if in own terms, identity politics has raised some significant problems that do not seem capable of easy resolutions. Perhaps the most fundamental issue here is that of essentialism. That is, the tendency to generalize about the members of a particular group and assimilate them to a singular identity. This approach runs the risk of fixing identity, for example, in terms of people's biological characteristics or their historical origins, and ignoring their diversity. It neglects the fact that people have multiple dimensions to their identities. Yes, good. dimensions to their identities and may well resist having to select one that will override all the others. Exponents of identity politics have argued that a kind of strategic essentialism may be necessary for particular purposes and that different conditions may be formed. I don't know if there's any more to that, Carinder. Maybe formed. Yeah, I'm not sure if it goes on from there. It says here, and knowing
the identity of the brain and
if there's more to add to that, Carinder, just add it in there at the bottom, and we'll add that in later. So for those joining us live right now, let us know, what do you think of this topic? What are your thoughts about identity, spirituality, and neurodiversity? They're quite big words, aren't they? Identity, spirituality, and neurodiversity.
Really deep, they're deep concepts.
They are quite deep, and I do love this topic. Because, we identify by our names, don't we, which are often given to us. However, I come back to spiritual beings having a human experience, and, from dust to dust, as they say. We do know that the minute we die, our bodies do become lighter. And so our spirits definitely do go somewhere. We're not quite sure where exactly, but they do go somewhere. Hello there, Vine Health has joined us. Good to see you on Instagram. So let us know, what are your thoughts about this topic and what we shared so far? And do you have any questions?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Any questions for Sarah or Carinder as well, let us know in the comments. We do appreciate you joining us here. It's Friday night here, 10 p.m. I'm actually on the Sunshine Coast at the moment, 10 p.m. on the Sunshine Coast. And Sarah, for you, what time is it over there?
Yeah, it's 12 noon here. Yeah. They just
probably very cold over there. It's very hot over here. So
it's freezing.
And I've been sweating all day. It's been a hot one here. Yes, it's been it's been interesting chatting with you from across the world. Isn't it beautiful? I'm so grateful for this technology to be able to reach you.
It is amazing, isn't it? I mean, it's just brilliant that we can, and that there must have been a vibrational energy there that definitely so much she's saying resonate. I really resonate with. It's and it mirrors a lot of I think people who, like we were saying, it's been a difficult time for people, and it's nice to speak to people. People seem more open to talk about spirituality and these kinds of topics in a broader way, really, which is really, it's great.
We're hoping to demystify.
Right? Make it every day. To talk about.
The more understanding we have, the more acceptance we have, I believe. We all have our differences. We're all unique individuals, and yet we're all so similar in many ways as well, right? We all generally go to the bathroom, we have showers, we have connections, friend connections, etc. So really it comes down to, how do you want to live your life, really, at the end of the day? And what does living a full life look like to you? And I'd love to put this question out to our viewers and our listeners right now. What does a full life look like to you? What does identity, spirituality, and neurodiversity mean to you? Have you been impacted by identity, spirituality, or neurodiversity in some way? And if so, how has that impacted you? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Sarah, is there something else you'd like to share about this, about maybe some tips on how people can, sort of relate or find ways to relate to people who might be considered neurodiverse? What are some other tips around that?
Yeah, I think it is about finding opportunities to engage with people. I think some people don't talk about it openly, and those that perhaps don't, or you have an inkling that somebody might be neurodiverse. I think it's just about having making time to have a conversation, and how to do how to engage with somebody who might be communicating differently to yourself. so it's quite broad, but I guess it would just depend upon the circumstances. And I think if you're in a workplace environment, or if you're in a university or college environment, I think just being nice. And I know it sounds so trite, but just be open. I've always found that, generally speaking, if you are open, kind, nice, friendly, smiling, warm, those kinds of attributes, it really does help every kind of person to open up a little bit, to be themselves. And I think one of the things over the years I've learned to be inclusive of others is it's a bit of being authentic, and it's about being patient, and it's about being warm in your demeanor. I think so you're sort of you're being a welcoming to someone, and just being, again, if there's something you take the wrong way, just being patient, having a little bit of time to work through something that you might take the wrong way, and just be empathetic, really. To me, it sounds like that people are just probably, a lot of people just kind of know how to be patient, kind, but I don't think everybody, for one thing and another, holds a sort of a sense of preconceived idea, or a judgment, or a bias, or they don't associate with. I found, there's quite, people don't associate with certain people sort of mentality, or that kind of there is a little bit of that social hierarchy that does creep in for many reasons. And I think it's about understanding the context that a lot of people either don't recognize that social hierarchy, or how you might, and what that means to that person on an individual basis, and engaging with them in that sense. But it's very nuanced, and it's but generally speaking, I think, be it warm, friendly, open, and supportive, and non-judgmental, the biggie, really.
Yeah, I love that, because we don't know what anyone's going through, right? Always have some compassion in your heart. Don't take things personally. If someone's being nasty, there was years and years ago, I did this door-to-door sales job. It's one of the worst jobs I've ever had, right? When I was straight out of uni and looking for work in the media back then, looking for full-time work. I had work in the media, but it was all part-time, casual, and I really wanted full-time work. And this one job, door-to-door sales, I was doing, we were selling these film cards to people, like knocking on doors in Brisbane. And I remember the sales meeting at the beginning of the shift every day. We'd all get around a big circle and we'd all pump ourselves up for the day.
Yeah.
And we'd pretend to put on these suits, right? We'd put them on, like put one leg on, put the other leg, put this invisible, it was an invisible suit, right, that we'd put on, and then we'd do it up. And the guy that was leading the sales team, he'd say, this is your invisible shit suit. So any shit that comes your way is just going to bounce off this suit.
Yeah,
it's always stuck with me, this invisible shit suit, that any shit that comes your way is just going to bounce off. And so, it's really important to have that protection for yourself, however that looks, right? To protect your energy, because if you let the negative people out there, the people that are, nasty, and the bullies, if you let them into your world, it's going to affect your energy potentially. If you don't protect your energy, it's going to affect your energy.
Yeah, you do have to it's discernment, isn't it? And I think I was, sometimes you can look at a situation with, I used to like radical empathy and things like that. You can see deep. I always take that. I always have that as a default, and that radical empathy is a default because it helps. It's a selfish thing in some ways, because it does actually help me to then frame it around the things we were saying before, like the shit suit would be perfect and it's not personal, and everything was sort of set. And then it also allows me to just frame it in a way that's that's true to my values as well, still, as opposed to me sort of think, what a horrible person, or I don't want to, I avoid that. Doesn't go into my head, because I just always frame it in radical empathy, but it doesn't mean, oh gosh, I'd be lying if I said there were times when those horrible, you know, sometimes if, you know, when there's horrible energy around, again, even if it's not personal, oh, I've let it completely consume me for a couple of days, you know, and then I don't know about yourself, but then I've let it, you know, I think you learn to not let that in. And sometimes having, if I'm doing a close piece of work with somebody, sometimes having their energy around me, even if it's horrible, helps me understand them. So it's like I have to process their stuff with a means to an, you know, I mean, I've got a boundary with that, but I'll be right, process it, understand it, feel it, it's horrible, but then I take it back to a place of radical empathy. I can then understand that person in a way that either, you know, supports them. It depends on the, you know, depends on what my purpose or the boundary is for me, you know, what I need to be doing with the person, if that makes sense. It's sort of, but protecting yourself is, I mean, I've done things like, you know, using crystals, grounded techniques, meditation, exercise, lots of time on my own to just to decompress. Yeah, you name it, that all of that kind of usual sort of stuff that I think a lot of people who are this way inclined, you know, do every day to keep on the, you know, to keep your feet on the floor, grounded, so to speak.
Radical empathy, that's a beautiful thing. And, you know, and there's times, you know, no matter how much meditation, spiritual work, prayer, etc. that I do, there's times that I am a little bit shaken sometimes by people's energy, or sometimes by certain comments that are like left of center, or really nasty things that can come across. And we saw a lot of it through COVID, right? Through this whole period, we saw a lot of online nastiness with keyboard warriors with really nasty comments. And look, if someone has a different opinion to you, please be kind, because people make up their decisions about what they believe to be true from what they know, and I'm sure everyone's doing the best they can. There's no need to be nasty just because someone doesn't agree with you. So there's been many people that I have blocked off my social. They're just out of line. They're out of, you know, you can be kind and represent a different opinion to someone else without being nasty, and you know, nastiness I will not tolerate.
Definitely. And I think, you know, sort of with some of the things that Carinder has experienced, and there's another gent, Thunny as well, who's similar. And I think I always say, anybody who's got the time to sit and post nasty comments to anybody, but in particular anybody who has a difference or a disability, is you've got to instantly think, what on earth is going on with that person? And bringing it to a place of radical empathy. I'm not saying, you know, send the cavalry in necessarily to support them, but what is going on behind? What's happening behind? What's happening with that person? Because they're obviously having to. They're venting something, aren't they? Or there's an anger, or there is. I mean, the teenagers and kids having, you know, being kids. I mean, I'm not supposed to see, but I think they're developing their emotions and who they're around. You know, we don't know what's compounding around that individual to make them, you know, have to channel this sort of anger or hate in that way towards another person, because it's not something that if, you know, the things we were talking about before, you know, we're conscious, you know, we're born miracles, aren't we? We're conscious for a reason. It's amazing. Why are you wasting your time venting hate towards people with disabilities?
Yes.
You've got 65 years. Don't do that with your time. You know, it's really like, it's just simple. And if you are doing that, what a waste. What a waste.
Oh, yeah, what a waste of energy. I mean, if life is energy and you're wasting your energy being negative to other people, well, just bloody get over it. You know, be kind and be direct. You don't have to be nasty to anyone. And most likely, if you're nasty to others, you're nasty to yourself as well. So that's something to look at for yourself. You know, I mean, what kind of life do you want to lead? You know, you want to be miserable for the rest of your life, or you want to actually make the most of life? And personally, it's about, I believe, going from a place of fear to a place of love, having love for self, love for others, being kind to self, kind to others. And the highest vibrations, of course, on Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness, for those who want to see that, it's in the Conscious Community Global Facebook group. Now, love and above is where we want to be. Ideally, 528 hertz is where we're vibrating at when we're in love. The very lowest one is shame at 20 hertz. Okay, so just idea. Anger is at 150 hertz, okay, and fear at very low vibrations. So you want to get to love and above, 528 hertz for love. Then we've got joy and gratitude at 540 hertz. Then we've got peace at 600 hertz, and then enlightenment at 700 hertz. And this is where spirituality comes into it, because often people are very well connected to source energy, God energy, you know, whatever it is for you. I do believe it's the one universal energy we're tapping into. I think religion gives it a whole lot of different stories and names. But, you know, whatever that is for you, tapping into that source, that infinite, the collective oneness, super conscious, that, you know, that is within and around and all of us, the more we can tap into that and have faith in that, you know, it is a remarkable world. It's you know, I often share on my social media, I share beautiful pictures of nature and animals, and, you know, what we focus on will grow, right? And if we just take a moment and just appreciate nature and just, you know, really connect with a bird or with a cat or a dog, or you know, connect with nature, with animals, and soon you see how remarkable the world is. You know, connect with other human beings, and, you know, we never know when we're going to see someone again, right? We went to table tennis today and we just got news that another guy had died, right? He was there just 2 weeks ago, fine, perfect health, has a fall, dies instantly. I mean, it can happen to anyone at any time. Now, this guy was 79 years of age. That's not that old, really, and he was fairly healthy, you know. And you know, news today, another one gone, another one bites the dust, right? And this is the thing. We never know when the last time will be to see people, and how significant do you get over things that really are not worth being significant about.
Yeah, I think I think there's one thing aiming your energy and anger at certain thing, you know. Gosh, I can, like with families, sometimes it is about standing back and having, you know, and forgiving and being patient about people and circumstances as well. I think most people, other than people that waste the time, you know, sort of attacking people with disabilities online, I mean, which I don't really want to give them any more attention than that, but I think most people's stronger emotions they do come from our closest relationships. They come from those that we expect something from, our attachments, those people that we attach to, as opposed to connected to, our family. And I do think that, you know, we've all got a responsibility to give space and time around emotions within family systems, because we tend to be, you know, in each other's lives all, you know, for a very long time. Whereas things, negative energy, negative emotions can build between those you're attached to, who you're relying on, or who you expect certain things from. And I think it is about just, you know, the family systems that we all belong to, and just being, you know, it is that they are what they are, sort of thing. It's an acceptance of that is part of the deal of having you know, people that you're either close to or not sometimes. I think there's obviously balances in there, like is quite a general advice, but I think there are times when family members do have to sort of you know, if they want to remain connected to people, they do have to find space. There's a compromise, I think, in I need to get that off my chest. I think it's quite a relatable thing, though. You know, sort of having to, you know, the family systems having to compromise and work through the challenge. You know, work through emotional challenges that can present. It's like it's not always easy to run along smoothly, you know, with everybody.
No. So expect, you know, life is a roller coaster ride. You know, you're going to have your highs and your lows. You're going to sometimes feel like you're going round circles. Sometimes we're going to feel like we're going backwards. Sometimes we need to slow down to speed up, right? And more so than anything, what I've realized in my 51 years on the planet is the more that I tune in, the more that I slow down, actually, the more that I actually speed up with the results that I get in life and with what happens in life. Tuning in to what really lights me up, what really gives me joy, and limiting everything that doesn't give me joy or that doesn't bring me joy. And no one else can make you happy, of course, right? It's an inside job. Happiness is an inside job, right? And so what is it that when you're doing that thing, What is it that you just feel so alive and you feel so happy? And for me, one of the things is swimming in the ocean. That's one of my favorite things to do, is swim in the ocean. I love doing these shows. I've done 1,400 videos I have on my YouTube channel now. And, I love it. I love doing this. And it actually gives me energy. Here I am at 10:20 at night here. And, here we are doing an amazing show and impacting all the beautiful people that are tuning in right now. We've got Fresher Insights has joined us. Jinx or JNX 0001 has joined us. Hello, good to see you there. Thank you so much, everyone who's joined us live today. We will start wrapping up shortly. Is there anything else you want to say about our topic today, Sarah? Identity, spirituality, and neurodiversity.
I think overall, I think what the things that we've discussed, is about a sense of openness and intuition, and also we've talked a lot about patience and tolerance and being open, haven't we, to people's differences and different views and different ways to see the world, and just standing back a little bit and just I think on a broader sense, that you said before, slowing down to see things in context, and I think if you're lucky enough to have neurodiverse people around in your life, and then it's an opportunity to understand somebody who potentially sees the world different from yourself, which I think is wonderful.
Yeah, it's beautiful to have such diversity in the world, right? And I know there's some people with autism that is like genius mathematicians. I mean, some things that they can do are extraordinary.
Oh yeah, that I used to do things like beat the calculator. I used to sit and do that. That used to energize me. Beat the calculator, and there's no some people. It's just it is quite a stereotype, but it is amazing. It is something. I know a lot of people who can do that, and it is such an I've always been in awe of that. People with those types of skills and the memory. People. I didn't mention that before, but people who are autistic with memories are just sort of like fascinating. Dates, times, numbers. If a certain subject, it's just there. And the visual memories, or having a photographic memory. I've met a lot of people who do have that. It's just amazing. It's like it's really incredible. It's really incredible to be around it. I can't imagine anyone would want to hate on it. It's just a horror. It is. I see it as such fondness. Being around autistic people energizes me. I don't. Yeah, I love it.
Sounds like you've met your calling there, Sarah, with what you're doing.
Yeah, that and art. So that's I think.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. Now, Sarah, do you have a favourite quote or motto that you live by that you'd like to share with us?
Oh gosh, I can't without taking reference of my phone. But I think that there are so many. There are so many quotes because I'm quite the quote person, of sharing on social media, and it's just I think for me it's just the one that stands out, and I think this it's be the changes. I can't remember who it was. It might be Mahatma Gandhi.
Yes.
Be the change that you want to see in the world, and I think the things that we've said about you can't wear your shit suit, and things are going to happen to you, but from an inner place you can control that, and you've just got to whatever you really believe in, be a good at be exemplary as much as you can to what that is, and I think I find a lot of happiness in that. But yeah, Mahatma Gandhi, there you are.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of my favorite quotes as well. I love the Mahatma Gandhi, be the change you want to see in the world. Love that. And now we have your website here, empowered-extend. Here, is that the best place for people to connect with you? Or
I think they can get me on there, and then we've got a contact page, so you can contact me directly from there. And then I think Carinder's put a couple of our different pages we've got on social media out there. So anybody who'd like to see and talk about what we do, we'd be glad to have conversations about it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Love it. And I do want to thank Carinder for reaching out to me. He spotted me on LinkedIn, I believe, and reached out to me and asked to interview me. And this is how this all came about. So from that seed that was planted from Carinder and from me saying yes to that opportunity, that we had a great interview where you interviewed me on your show. And now here we are interviewing you and Carinder earlier. Thank you, Carinder, for joining us earlier on this show as well. It's been a wonderful show so far. And wrapping up, I'll share an inspiring quote. This one's from Steve Silberman. It says, neurodiversity may be every bit as crucial for the human race as biodiversity is for life in general.
Yes,
so
thank you. Yeah.
Nice. Neurodiversity may be every bit as crucial for the human race as biodiversity is for life in general.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that panders to every box I've got. So I really love that. That's brilliant. Yeah.
Yes. And this is another good one from Kathleen Seidel. Difference is not deficit, right? Just because you're different doesn't mean you're less than in any way, right? So let's embrace the differences in life. It is an extraordinary world, and we are so blessed to be here at this time in life. And of course, we will be dealt with challenges in life. That's part of what makes us stronger. It's part of how we learn and grow when we step out of our comfort zone. And, sometimes it takes having some uncomfortable conversations or, dealing with issues you may not want to deal with. However, it's when we have those conversations sometimes that we do become stronger human beings and we do build our resilience. And as they say, diamonds are created under pressure, right? Diamonds are created under pressure. Now, for those who want to connect with me, you can hop along to linktr.ee/Aldwyn. It's got all my links there, linktr.ee/Aldwyn. You'll see some free media resources there. We have the Global Good News Challenge every month. It's a free challenge where you can share gratitude and good news. It's a great way to lift your energy and lift the energy of those around you. And shout out to Felisa Moffat and Narelle Gatti. I've noticed have already done their February challenges. Well done. Just a 2-day challenge for February for the second month. Go to the Global Good News Challenge Facebook page, which is linked in there. At the top there, it's got all the details on how to participate. It is free and it's free marketing for you. We share your videos out to thousands of people and you will feel amazing when you do it. And you'll be helping to reduce depression and suicide rates as well when you do the Global Good News Challenge. And you'll see all the other cool links. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. We've got my Facebook page, this one here, Aldwyn Altuney Media Queen. Just check that one out as well. And all my other links. Check out our Spotify, etc. Lots of links in there. Great to stay connected with you. Vanessash has just joined us. Good to see you there. Or VNA Sash has just joined us. Yeah. Hello on Instagram. Thank you so much if you have joined us live here today on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X, wherever you've joined us. Thank you so much. This will also go up on BitChute and Rumble after this, Spotify as well. Any final words you'd like to share, Sarah?
Oh, just thank you so much for your good self for the opportunity to come on and talk about things that are just so meaningful that don't always get talked about. So just thank you. Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful opportunity. It really has. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. It's been amazing. Thank you so much for the great work you do. So important. I'm sure you light up the lives of neurodivergent people every day. So well done. Well done on that. And blessings to everyone tonight. Have a beautiful day or night wherever you are in the world. Be seen with the Media Queen. We'll be back with more amazing Media Queen TV episodes for you soon. Stay tuned. See you soon. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Carinder. Bye. See you.